Meantime, in a shocking turn of events, disgraced Miramax co-founder and mega producer Harvey Weinstein is getting the chance to appeal his rape conviction in New York. A judge granting the appeal some 2 years after his trial, a trial his lawyers argued was not fair. Now, back in 2020, a Manhattan jury found Weinstein guilty of sexually assaulting an actress in a New York City hotel room and of forcing a former production assistant to perform oral sex. Weinstein received a 23-year prison sentence. Joining us now to discuss is a former member of Harvey Weinstein's legal team, CEO and co-founder of Inside Outside, a prison consultant company, Craig Rothfeld. Craig, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me back.
Now, I know you worked closely with Harvey's team throughout the trial. Why are you saying now that, or why has it been said that the trial was unfair?
So the issues that were brought to the appellate court from the original trial are the same ones that are now going to be heard by the Court of Appeals. I think everybody who's been affiliated with Mr. Weinstein and his team have consistently said, besides him maintaining his innocence, this is not a matter of public opinion. It's a matter of whether or not the law was filed and whether or not he got a fair and just trial. I mean, everyone in this country and in our legal system should get a fair and just trial. And there were multiple issues that came about in the trial, which Mr. Weinstein's attorneys believe were improper and illegal and should merit him a brand new trial. So when it was brought to the appellate court, it was reviewed, it was heard, and 5 appellate court judges voted 5-0 to uphold the trial conviction. It's very rare in New York State that the Court of Appeals takes up an application for leave. It's called taking the application for leave. And in this case, the New York State Court of Appeals, the Chief Justice, decided to grant leave. And in the last, I guess, 6 or 6.5 years, based on some data that's being tracked out there, about 1.5% of all cases that request leave at the New York State Court of Appeals are granted. So it's a pretty significant day for him.
Yeah, it seems, isn't that amazing that a guy with a lot of money and power and knows a lot of people was among those 1.5%. Remember, we had Bill Cosby, what was it, last year or the year before? He had been convicted, and suddenly there are changes there. A lot of people look at this kind of thing, Craig, and they wonder what's up. Didn't a jury convict him?
Yes, a jury did convict him. And I appreciate the comment about a man with a lot of money and power, but most of the 1.5% cases that are brought up are by people that none of us know. So it's not really about money and power. And yes, a jury convicted him. But if the jury convicted him based on testimony that should never have been allowed in the trial, based on witnesses who never should have been allowed to testify, based on a juror who lied under oath in voir dire and then wrote a book on sexual predators, then again, regardless of how much money someone does or doesn't have, and regardless of what your opinion is or is not of Mr. Weinstein, that's not a fair trial, and he deserves a new trial. And the Court of Appeals in New York State, for the moment, happens to agree that legal arguments should be made regarding these issues.
And now Weinstein did release this statement after the judge granted the appeal. He said, "I am innocent of these charges, and I am so grateful to my attorneys for working hard and smart on this. Their hard work will help me prove my innocence in the end. I look forward to this opportunity to be heard by the New York Court of Appeals." Craig, a lot of people have, of course, heard of the Me Too movement, but that movement was really born from the accusations against Harvey Weinstein. Of course, he's also accused of similar crimes in Los Angeles and still awaiting trial for that.
Yeah, he is still awaiting trial in Los Angeles for certain similar charges, and certainly in the same vein. That trial right now is scheduled for the fall if there are no delays. And it seems, and I'm not trying to split hairs with you or anyone in the general public who's listening, the Me Too movement is extremely important. I completely understand it. I'm a father of young girls. The issue here isn't about the Me Too movement. The issue here is whether or not he received a fair trial.
Fair enough.
And I think that that's what everybody needs to focus on. The
Sure.
highest court in New York State says, look, there might be real issues here and we need to hear it.
And he's not out, right? I mean, he's still in jail at this point.
No, that's a great question. He was extradited from New York State's custody to Los Angeles. He's currently in the Twin Towers County Jail in Los Angeles awaiting trial there.
All right. Craig Rothfeld, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you both very much. Thanks for having me on.
I think the whole Me Too movement was significant. A lot of people having their voices heard, and this one did get a lot of attention. And
Sure did.
and you spent some time in L.A.
I did. I used to do a lot of entertainment reporting, and at one point when I was actually an editor at GQ magazine, I was at a swanky private party in Los Angeles, and Mr. Weinstein was there, and he came up and spoke to me and said, "Are you an actress?" And at that time, I happened to actually also be in acting school, and he said, "Well, if you ever need any help," and took a napkin, a cocktail napkin, took a pen out of his pocket, wrote down his name and number, and said, "Call me anytime." I never did call, but here we are.
Why?
And I'm not an actress.
Right.
It never felt right to me. I just, that's not the way to pursue a career. And I didn't know why. There was nothing odd about it at the time. It just didn't feel right.
And
Follow
again,
my
we're
gut.
not condemning him for that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But it is interesting. So you were.
I wish I saved that
That was your
cocktail
one
napkin.
degree. That was your one degree.
That was my,
connection.
well, 0 degree. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.